Hi, this is Hope Girl, and you're watching footage of our Clean Energy Technology Labs from Fix the World. And I'm coming to you here from Morocco. So thanks so much for watching. A lot of the footage that you're seeing is coming from our free energy project that we have been co-developing and co-creating with all these different engineers, grassroots efforts engineers all over the world. So if you'd like to get involved, please make sure that you look at the description in the video below, because we put links there to join the Academy if you'd like, or to see all of our different products. We've got instruction manuals and books and CDs and video classes and announcements and mailing lists and so much more. Please enjoy the rest of the footage. Thank you so much for tuning in and also for supporting our work here at Fix the World Morocco.
This is mica tape. It's insulation for when we wind the wire on the core. It's high voltage insulation. (320 laminations, 18.5 thousandths thick in a stack, which is a 4-pole toroid core.
What are these?
These are the aluminum spacer blocks. They go on each side of the core, you know, on the 4 legs, to give you room for the winding area. You have to think of it as a 3-dimensional winding area where you need all this space here for wire in between the rectangles. And so you have to have the spacers in there to keep, you know, to provide the space for the wire. Because you can't put the end plates right up against here, or you can't bring the wire around, because it's going to get bigger this way and this way. So you have to have the spacers. Gotta go one more. 8-inch bolts for bolting the whole core assembly together. It has to go through the whole thing. They're through bolts. Okay, I'm gonna get this started here. This is mica tape. It's impregnated with mica, so it has the high voltage insulating qualities. And this is called ground wall insulation. Ground like earth. This is your primary insulation between the copper and the steel core. So I'm overlapping roughly, it seems to want to be in threes, so it's like a triple overwrap. Seems to line up the best that way. This is 6 mil. The tape is 6 mil, and the average thickness in here, you know, if I overwrap 3 times, would be 18. I settled on 3 because it seems to fit the best that way. This tape has been tested to see how much voltage it will withstand before it punches through and arcs through. And it will withstand 1500 volts per mil, and this is a 6 mil tape. So the target is, well, we're trying to make sure that we can hold off 25,000 volts. So 1500 times what gives you 25,000. Mica insulation plate. I'm putting on the pole pieces here to keep the wire insulated from the metal. So we'll have a piece on each face. Got 2 done here already. And then we're going to do a couple of more layers of wrap around the core.
Yes, it's mostly warehouse, but there's a small vision here and there.
I want you to get a good picture of me standing in here that I can put on my Facebook wall. Okay.
Yep. Fork truck, everybody likes to see fork truck, right? Lift truck, that's always fun.
off because nothing's glued or anything here. Actually, I'm going to mount these on that clear plastic piece, but just for now. So just let me know if this starts falling off.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the voltage.
What is that, Adley?
It's a free energy machine.
Hi, I'm James, and I'd like to give you a free copy of my switch reluctance generator build manual. I call this generator the quantum energy generator because it's the only design that we know of that is potentially fuelless, getting extra energy to run a motor from the quantum field. In March 2014, my wife, my daughter, and I began a journey around the world in what began as a desire in me to get off the grid. When I finally woke up to the fact that the utility company was taking most of my disposable income, I felt obligated to come up with something that would improve the quality of our lives. So our mission, which began as a desire to get off the grid, was to develop the QEG prototype in several countries and share our findings with the world. After studying as much as I could get my hands on about creating free energy, I found many others had the same goal. I was so inspired that others were building free energy devices all over the world. Maybe that's you. Anyway, with the help of over 1,000 funders, my wife, my daughter, and I set out to make our dream of changing the world a reality. We traveled to different countries and worked with many engineers. After open sourcing the first build manual in March 2014, the engineers and free energy advocates came out of the woodwork. We began the first prototype in our home in Pennsylvania, USA, then went to the Orient, then to Africa, then Europe, and back home. What we have accomplished is a global team of people and communities building QEGs. The innovations are astounding. The generator now produces about 800 watts from 1,000 watts input. And as far as any of the teams around the world know, there are no other plans like this available free to the public, on the internet, or even in any library. This is because big companies keep these plans a secret. Inventors keep these plans a secret. Even religious organizations keep these plans secret. But in this manual, I supply all the materials and equipment lists, schematics, diagrams, and photos you need to begin building your own switch reluctance generator. And a full professional CAD package, which was donated to us, is also included. Now, you may have heard about the QEG from doubters, naysayers, or internet trolls, but what you may not realize is that many of these individuals get paid by big energy corporations to crush any dreams we have of getting free from their grip. Don't be fooled by their tactics. You can start building your own device today and join the hundreds of thousands of others with these plans. This free manual will save you tons of time and money. Grab it and begin or continue your quest for free energy.
The QEG Build Manual is one of the many free bonuses you'll get with a Free Energy Academy Gold membership. At the Free Energy Academy, you'll have access to exclusive QEG project videos and test reports, weekly QEG experiments and technology articles, as well as a variety of other free energy-related groups and forums and other exciting features. Gold membership is only $25 a month. When you join today, you'll get the original QEG Build Manual, plus our new Forbidden Tech digital download, the Tesla patent report, and the quantum energy articles, and 2 free orgone pendants shipped anywhere in the world. You can cancel at any time. Click the link below to join today.
of this experiment was to create an analog, an analogy to what is happening in a resonance system. Also, the purpose was to do more research with a resonance system and Tesla technology. So this setup is to combine the two systems. Well, Tesla inherently is a resonance system, right? So we have our coil here, an ignition coil, and we have a capacitor bank here, and they're both connected in parallel. Now, the purpose of this coil initially, I learned something in this experiment the past couple of days. In the initial setup of this experiment, there wasn't a high voltage diode here. I wanted to see if on the other side of these capacitors, I can get a Tesla coil that's normally sitting here in this blue container, bobbin container, to light up or to do something. And I had to play around with the circuit to do that. And when I did it initially, I was able to get the Tesla coil to light. I was able to light this fluorescent tube, but it was only under certain conditions. It wasn't a very efficient setup. It was simply because AC was flowing through here and AC was coming across what you see here as the gap. And only with the gap was really narrow did I get this to light. It wasn't a very efficient system. The ignition coil heated up, and a certain amount of power was expended to keep the whole system going. So what I learned in the past 24 hours is remove the connection of AC from this system. Only allow it to flow on this side, which is the ignition coil and the capacitor bank. By the way, this ignition coil, as you can see, is rated for 12 volts. But AC is coming through the wall, through the dimmer, and we're ramping this up. And it's only possible to ramp it up beyond this because these are rated, these can handle much higher than 12 volts. So, and there's some forums online, websites that can show a similar setup. But the whole point here was to get this system resonating. So this system is in resonance. And once it's resonating, you can get a much higher capacitive current build up here than you could just from this alone and from the AC system. Now, this is the high voltage lead coming out. And with this system, with the rectifier going through the spark gap straight to ground, there's no other lead going to the AC side. There's one end going through the primary, but there's no return here going to the AC wall. Instead, you just got one high voltage lead off the secondary inside this ignition coil going straight to ground. In a technical or engineering sense, this is called a single pole. So the experiment went from an AC system to now a resonance system, which is AC, going into pulse DC, high voltage, high frequency. And when this was done last night, the performance completely improved. We got new behavior happening. Some things I might not be able to demonstrate here because I to be honest with you, I got shocked twice, and it was much worse than before. It was terrible. And terrible in that it was good in the performance, but you don't want to have your hand being the thing that gets hit. So practice some electrical safety when you're doing this. You have to be trained, you have to be careful, but even when you are, you act as an RF ground if you're not careful. So what we have here is a much stronger, powerful arc. What I also found is that in this setup, your high voltage rectifiers get hammered. I'm going to show you an example of the amount of power that I'm now seeing. What you're looking at is called a Tesla hairpin arrangement. These two clear capacitors, and below it is where real power is going through a discharge gap. But this is very important. Without the gas discharge tube or the spark gaps, the energy on this side of the capacitors do not manifest. You get nothing. Only when this goes off does this circuit come alive. This is the radiant energy side. The Tesla coil is not here because to have it here, you have to really be careful with the arcs that you don't see. The Tesla coil, by the way, that's arranged here is for power only. It's not meant to throw off nice fancy streamers. But when it shocks you, it's going to knock you on your butt. It's really powerful what happens here. So it's not here for the sake of this. We're only going to show this tube light up to show that radiant energy is taking place in a powerful, meaningful way. It's connected directly from one end of these capacitors straight to ground. So this is a single pole. So think of energy being shoved one way like a stream. It's not seeking the other side of the wall. It's all one way, straight to ground. So anything you have in series to this is in the way of that energy and will get charged. So if you want to think about rapid charging to keep the system going while running your load, I believe that this is the direction we're going. And this is where I see the connection with the QEG. You have a resonance system, you have a single pole that turns into a pulse discharge straight to ground. So you decoupled this thing where you need the other leg. You don't need alternating polarized leads. That is decoupled in the resonance system. You got a single high voltage discharge going through a diode, through a spark gap that's silent, going straight to ground. And the Tesla hairpin circuit turns it all into radiant discharge on the other end. So I'm going to fire this up. I'm going to provide a schematic to kind of describe what you're seeing here. The combination of a resonance system and a Tesla hairpin setup to have a very powerful radiant energy discharge at the end. Again, this is a very powerful UV tube. I'd like to get more of these and more bridge rectifiers. Ideally, we can experiment with maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 of these in parallel, in series, and have these in parallel, more bridge rectifiers in parallel. These are powerful rectifiers, 15 kilovolts at 2 amps, and they're burning out. But I'll show you what's happening on the amp meter here to give you an idea that the current is not going down with the increase in the step-up voltage, that it's not following the transformer method, that the pulse discharge across here is enough to blow these out. So you want to have more of these, and with more funding we can get more of these diodes in parallel and in series to handle the power that we're seeing being built up here. So I'm going to turn on this circuit and for a couple of seconds, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll put the clamps so we can see the amps flowing through the primary, and then I'm going to show the amps flowing through the high voltage side to show what's being discharged across here to let you know that there's still current at very high voltage. Okay? So I'm going to turn this circuit on now and take a look at the plasma tube. This is the radiant energy that we have flowing through. Okay? These are the spark gaps. They're very silent gap because they're encased in glass. And this is the plasma tube. Very chaotic discharge. It's a lot of power flowing through there. You'll probably smell ozone over an extended period of time. And it's connected also to the primary of this coil. If you had a secondary in there, you would light it up. Okay, I'm going to turn this off now. You might see that trigger a few more times. Maybe not. Sometimes when you turn it off, this tends to blink. Okay. What I'm going to do now is put the current meter on to show the amount of amps, AC, that's flowing into this resonance system here, okay?
The next speaker is a gentleman I've known for many years. He is a brilliant experimentalist. He is an astonishing thinker and theorist, and he's a very successful and aggressive businessman. And he is, as of this year, the sole producer of this conference. Please welcome my friend Aaron Murakami.
How many of you believe in the basic laws of thermodynamics as it applies to all this kind of stuff? So not many hands are going up. Well, I don't believe in any of it. In my opinion, We're all living in bizarro world. Everything is upside down, it's inside out. You know, you turn on the media, when an investigation is a matter, you know that you're living in bizarro world. Everything is backwards from reality. And the field of science and even the basic laws of physics, when it comes to the claims about conservation of energy, conservation of momentum, what inertia actually is, what gravity is, you know, whether a mass bends space, all these kind of things, the way they're commonly portrayed, are completely flipped inside out and inverse from reality. He actually corrected thermodynamics because it applies to all systems, and the conventional closed system thermodynamics actually don't even apply to anything in the universe, not even heat systems. So the total amount of work done can be more than what you put in, and that's the subject of a lot of presentations that have been shown through this conference. And what a lot of the aim is that it can apply to mechanical systems, electrical systems, and other systems. So anybody who thinks that you can't have a machine produce more work than what you put in, they just do not have this, this frame of reference inside their mind, and it's completely missing. But this is really the only thing that actually explains all natural processes in the universe, not the second law of thermodynamics or any of the other conventional ideas. And there's a lot of misconceptions about the ether too, especially from the skeptical side. So the ether produces work, which is energy, and if anybody uses the term energy and it's not work, it's a misuse of the word energy. Okay, and so on the left side we have symmetrical, balanced, and so forth. That's the snow on the TV screen. And then you bring form to it and you create asymmetry. And what that means is you've polarized the ether, and now you have a form of potential. When you polarize it, you bring form to it, and now you have a potential difference. That's the source potential that powers everything, whether it's mechanical, whether it's electrical, whether it's chemical, it doesn't matter what it is. Then when it goes from the process of being symmetrical and polarized, and when it goes through the act of depolarization through resistances, which destroy or actually kind of dissipate and diminish that polarization back to an unpolarized state, that process right there is where you get work. And we're going to go into that pretty heavy.
Announcing the 5th edition QEG Free Energy Generator Plans by authors James Robitaille and Tavon Rivers. These plans include 4 secondary transformer designs and instructions for converting volt-amperes reactive, or VARs, to watts using a bitoroid transformer. The parts, equipment, and tools lists have been updated to take into account new technical discoveries made since the early stages of the QEG project in late 2013. The full professional CAD drawing package has been detailed and updated from 2015 as well. As always, James presents clear instructions for basic construction from the bare steel to precise capacitor value to first resonance. For those in the know, first resonance, or parametric oscillation, is the stage where the light bulbs are lit using only the energy produced in the core. James also presents advanced tuning procedures where you will learn how to align to the resonant frequency of the core steel, second resonance, and exciter coil tuning, third resonance. You'll also have the new exciter coil design in this 5th edition QEG build manual. Tavon presents a study of the lensless transformer and how it can be applied to the QEG. Several types are illustrated and described. The lensless transformer will allow QEG builders to experiment with redirecting power back to the source while running a load. See which one the QEG teams are presently experimenting with using this technology. For a limited time, when you purchase the 5th edition of the QEG Free Energy Generator Build Manual, you will receive
Class 2 from the QEG Beginners Build Course 2015, Base Resonance Parts, an 86-minute video of James describing parts needed for completion of QEG generator core, a presentation and description of core mechanical part drawings and specifications, a preliminary discussion of platform construction and options, with drawings, explanation of power generation by means of parametric resonance, and answers to previously submitted email questions from class members. The PDF contains 82 pages of documents and photos of parts needed for completion of the QEG core, including diagrams, schematics, inventor's notes, and component data sheets. If you are thinking about building your own QEG, the 5th edition build manual is the DIY engineer's answer to how to do it safely and efficiently. After over 2.5 years of co-development, everything you need to reach Overunity and accomplish self-looping is here, and you won't find anything like it on the internet. Purchase yours today, below.
Hi, this is Hope Girl.
And this is Tavon.
And we're coming to you from Fix the World Morocco. And you are watching some of our technology footage from our free energy or clean energy labs all over the world.
A lot of this footage that you're seeing is from our free energy projects that we're co-creating with other developers and engineers around the world.
So if you'd like to get involved, please be sure to check the links in the description in this video, because we've got things like memberships to our academy, we have books and courses and video classes and so much more.
So we hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching and supporting this work.
Welcome to the newly expanded Free Energy Academy. We've put a lot of new topics and features into our academy, and this brief video tour will help show you around. First, let's take a look at the navigation bars at the top. The blue bar contains a host of information that is freely open to the public. Here, you'll find information about us, about our pilot project, the QEG, our alternative energy blog, our Free Energy Academy store, and how to contact us or request for engineering consulting. Our Free Energy Academy store contains an array of our digital products available for purchase. More items are added to the store on a regular basis. The gray bar contains all the areas available for members. Here you will find out how to join, as well as some instructional material in our members user manual to help you get your account set up. Under the Your Account tab, you'll be able to view your unique account details, like your profile, your friends list, your billing information, and much more. The Groups, Forums, Documents, and Videos tab all contain our exclusive members-only content. Let's take a brief look at some of them, starting with your membership profile. When you join the Academy, you will be able to create your own profile. This is where you'll be able to put up your own status updates, send friend requests, join groups and forums, and send internal email messages to other members. If you want to find other members to send friend requests to, you would go here to the View All Members tab. Or you can find them inside of groups and forums and send them friend requests right from their profile pages. Another great social feature is built-in instant messenger and chat bar. This allows for one-on-one instant messaging with other members. Plus, there's a free phone app that you can install on your phone and take all your Free Energy Academy chats with you on the go. The chat bar also allows for private chat rooms and group conversations, internal members-only announcements, and file sharing. Unlike Facebook and Skype, which are highly infiltrated, this is a secure, internal members-only communication system. Let's take a look at groups. We've added a whole bunch of new groups around popular topics at the Free Energy Academy. Groups are a place to meet new people, post your videos, and get involved in the group forum, which is an organized series of conversations based on discussion topics. Here's a brief view of some of our many groups. More will be added in the near future. forums. Our Free Energy Academy forums are the perfect place for suppressed technology information sharing. Members get exclusive access to high-quality forums run by professionals. Forums include testing results, experimentation conclusions, and detailed project explanations, and other robust content. Members can contribute, create new topics, and collaborate on projects and design ideas. This environment is moderated to ensure that it is kept secure, clean, and free from the riffraff of other energy forums. Only Free Energy Academy members can view or post in these forums. Videos. Our growing video gallery is divided into several sections, each containing videos that are not available on other platforms. The QEG project videos section contains footage from many of the QEG builds, along with supplemental instructional videos. Please note that these videos are not full online classes. Those videos are sold separately in our store. The other video galleries contain educational videos and interviews around suppressed technology and other topics covered in the Free Energy Academy. We will be adding new videos and new galleries regularly. Members get access to special reports according to their membership level. Here's where you will find links to your free value-added bonus documents that you'll get when you sign up as a gold or silver member. For example, this is where gold members would download the QEG 4th edition build manual, the Tesla patent report, the Forbidden Tech digital download, the quantum energy articles, and also this is where you would put in your order for your free orgone pendants. So that's it for this brief tour. If you'd like to become a member of the Free Energy Academy, be sure to click on the link that says Join to learn more.
What we're trying to do is get the steel into resonance, mechanical resonance. And at the same time, we're going to put the electrical resonance with the mechanical resonance at the same frequency. That's what we've been trying to do. We've burned out quite a few coils. And I'd rather have that happen to me while we're searching for the right frequency to tune at. I'd rather have that happen to me during the experiments than to you guys. You know, we want to protect your investment. So part of the reason that it's taken a lot of time is because I'm trying to do it very carefully, very gently. What's new that nobody's heard about yet from me is it doesn't, if you tune it without the resonance, it doesn't remember. In other words, if you shut it off and come back the next day, it'll act like you never did any tuning on it. But if you do it with power on, it does remember. You can walk away from it and come back the next day and continue. So that's, I put in my last paper that I put on the website, I was talking about a lot about how to tune it without the resonance. You builders out there that have a machine, if you don't have a lot of hours on it, you don't have to be as gentle with it as I'm being. Now what happens there with radiant energy, it operates in the current, on a current node.
Well, what I'm going to present tonight is an invention of a guy named Gerard Marin. It's based on Nikola Tesla's hairpin circuit. It was originally invented by him just to test his theory of being able to attain resonance with energy gain using the spark gaps. And I'm going to turn out the lights because this is going to be a light show. Now, what I'm going to do is show you, this is a burnt out fluorescent bulb. It lights up. Now place it on the pancake foil, and it lights up.
So for our next presentation, raise your hand if you're familiar with Joseph Newman. Pretty much anybody and everybody in the whole free energy field or exotic energy field or Tesla field has come across Joseph Newman's work in one way or another. So for our next presenter, since the age of 10, he's been working and experimenting on different types of energy technologies. And much of his work is showcased on his website, which is energybat.com. Like the little.
My Tesla lab I worked in for about 12 years, completely empty and everything, duplicated everything that Tesla ever did. Now this motor, I've used it for about 8 different motors. I can use it for a window motor, a Kepi motor. The list just keeps going on and on and on and on. An alternator, you know, it all depends what I lock up at the back end. These are the batteries, and they're about 30 years old. You have to build this thing. It's not complicated to build. It is and it isn't. The way you look at this is you look at a record player, you look at a record player disc, then you put a 45 here and you put a 45 here. And that 45 is your negative, that 45 is your positive. What you're looking at here is that's the one little 45 disc, and on the other side there's another one. That's the connection to the metal that goes here, and then the metal that goes here, and you see it on the back side. There's Joe right there. That was pretty much around 2012, 2013. That's a 7,000-pound motor. And you see the capacitors, you see the big commutator wheel up there and everything. And the beauty about this is the whole thing's made of junk. So what you're looking at right here is you're basically looking at a magnet. You got a pulley inside here. You got bearing, you got the commutator, and you've got the coil of wire. And then, you know, you got the battery. That's the schematic, the next one. You can see it clear. This is the motor diagram. This is the piece, the sheet that I can supply for a tiny little fee, and it tells everything about it. The next thing is you just wrap the wires here, you wrap the other wires here, and then you connect them exactly the same way that he has them connected here.
Hi, you're watching footage from our technology builds here in Fix the World, Morocco. A lot of the footage that you're seeing, it has to do with builds from people from all over the world. What we are grassroots engineers that are building in our garages, co-creating, sharing information, just like you. If you want to get involved, make sure you check the links to our Free Energy Academy classes, to the website, to the build manual, and more. So I hope you enjoyed the footage, and thank you for watching and supporting this work.
So this final presentation is really another tribute, like RS's presentation, a tribute to the lifetime work of John Bedini, who over the years has shared, shared more than most people will accomplish in a lifetime, and he's probably forgotten more than most of us will ever learn. The technology you're going to see is a really special technology that only a small number of people really kind of knew the inner workings of. John kind of alluded to it. He's given demos. Not many people have really had the opportunity to really understand what it is, how it works. But this is going to be your opportunity to see a demo, kind of see the insights, the data, also the schematics. The schematics are going to be on the screen. I'd encourage you to take photographs of it, and we can give you a web link, basically an energyscienceforum.com, where you can find the information on this. And there's going to be some lab notes that are going to be included with the video presentation. A lot of these notes John has never shown to the public before. And so you're definitely going to walk away with the information to know how to replicate this device. And so get ready for the full disclosure of the zero force motor. Please welcome Yaro Stanchak.
Because before I start going, I firstly would like to thank Rhonda Bedini for permission to use John Bedini's unpublished lab notes in this presentation. Let's give you a little sense of what we're going to be doing here. We already did the introduction, and I'm going to go along with that brief history of the zero vacuum engine, and then further show you in more detail the zero force motor design, replication, and the build process. And after that, we're going to take kind of a baby step, or maybe 2 steps, into what I call the unknown zone. This is the first unpublished note. Another slide dating back 1976. So John had this in his head already, the zero force, the vacuum engine, that was in his head. He was thinking about it. Instead of the rigid mount for the reed switches, I put in a cylinder. And I even went out and found my high-priced mahogany hardwood pieces, and I used them to be the rails. So this can rotate, and you notice the high-tech rubber band right here.
Okay, I know it's kind of loud, but here's a zero-force motor. Notice the position of the coil in here, and I'm using the bipolar switch because I need to trigger it. And I'm only running it on 3 poles right at the moment. There's 8 magnets in this thing. And so I'm going to show you the waves up here on the scope. Tonight, I just got this finished a little while ago, and I thought that I would document it right now. This is a zero force motor. This is just a plain old pushing motor, or a puller. You can see the coils are in a toroidal form, and the switching occurs here in the front. You can hear it.
If you're interested in learning more about the QEG or free energy technology, be sure to check out our Free Energy Academy store. Here you will find our best-selling QEG ebook, which is also available in Spanish, Chinese, French, and Italian languages. You'll also find our updated 5th edition build manual, along with our complete QEG Builders video course, and many of our QEG webinars. We've also put together some great packages for beginners and much more. Visit the Free Energy Academy store at the link below this video.
Here we are, upstairs in the lab area where James and Tavon work on free energy. Very organized lab. Nice shelf that they share for equipment. Nice storage. More storage. And this big shelf. And here's to Vaughn's Flywheel Lab and project. And today is going to be a day of experiments.
Okay, so as you can see, yeah, these are tightly magnetically coupled to this big wheel. They're not touching the big wheel. Only these powerful neodymium magnets are allowing these to spin. And so what's the advantage of this normally with magnetic transmissions is that if there's anything jarring on this side, it can freely slip like that. You can see it slips. But it's still very tight. Now, what we observe with that oscillation we're talking about when you try to rev it down, and this starts to speed up to 800 RPM, and the power drops here, what we notice is that one of these couples tightly still spins with the big wheel, but like this one down here, it just free floats. It's like there's no magnets here, it just kind of just floats along. So it's almost like the magnetic field is completely canceled here. And we don't know what that's all about. That's just an unusual effect. It just, with all these powerful magnets, it doesn't sense the stuff going on here. So there's a situation here where there's energy built up here, but there's only 50 watts going in. And so the test is to get this effect or something similar to it to happen connected to an alternator here. And this is what's going to provide the power to our bank of lights, maybe a couple hundred watts, maybe a kilowatt if we're lucky, and see what gains we see. The purpose of this project in this room, in this lab, is to test performance of a flywheel against, in this case, a known thing, like an alternator. This alternator is an alternator I got from China that runs in trucks and in boats. It outputs 28 volts. It's 1.5 kilowatt to 2 kilowatt. It puts in a lot of torque. And so I was testing this, in this case it's not really known, but against something that is made that some random component out there. The whole purpose was to test the performance of this flywheel when connected to like a DC motor. And this flywheel, what it's meant to do is help assist the DC motor so that when the DC motor is pushing that rotor on a QEG, for example, it doesn't have to work as hard. And also wanted to try to test some of the magnetic coupling systems here. This is all experimental. A lot of research has gone into it. But we're testing some components here that will hopefully remove a level of work from the DC motor. So that's the whole purpose for this setup here. And since it is an alternator that I'm researching in here, which by the way is a different technology from the QEG. QEG uses salient poles as a reluctance generator. Alternators are completely different, and you have to do quite a bit of modification to them. And even then, the modification isn't necessarily resonance related. So, there's some other things I'm doing here as a side project. Is it possible to convert an alternator for green energy, which means I'll probably have to remove the rotor here and put a permanent magnet in there instead, and use it as almost like an inverter to charge my battery bank, and to take some of that energy and have some useful power out of it. And can the flywheel even improve that performance even more? So that's what this test platform is for. So it's for that, it has a dual purpose. It's for that, and it's also just to test the flywheel before we connect it to the QEG. So that's basically what this test platform is all about. Okay, so here's the alternator. We just mounted the alternator to our base here. And so this is the mount that's been put in there for that. So it seems to be stable enough. So now we're just going to do a test run. I'm not expecting anything spectacular, but who knows. But the whole point of this is to just see if everything holds up, spinning up this flywheel with the alternator. just making sure that everything's in order. So that's basically it. It's just a test run. I'll probably go up shy of 1,000 RPM and then ease it back down. Okay?
Okay.
So just starting now.
You sure I'm safe over here?
Safer than me. Okay. And that's it.
So what's this beautiful thing?
Okay, so you're looking at the stator of the alternator that I was testing with this flywheel. And the alternator was serving as a control. It creates a lot of torque, back EMF, when it goes up to speed. It slowed down this flywheel, but the whole point of it was to see the behavior of the alternator. Alternators are much different than the QEG. The QEG doesn't have these kind of problems when it comes to large torque being developed. Anyway, we're done testing it as a control, and we wanted to try something a bit different. So this project, what I'm doing here, is trying to convert it into some type of resonant generator. I don't know if it's going to work, but what we've done is all alternators have a rectifying block and a controller, like a regulator in the back. And this is what takes the natural AC that's in the stator and turns it into DC. And it can also cause problems if you're just trying to run an alternator as a generator. So this is a hack that other people online do. They remove this part and they just try to generate AC, alternating current. And that's what we're doing here. But we're also going to play with resonance. We're going to get the stator to resonate here. And on the rotor here, this is the middle part here, I've attached two capacitors, soldered them in parallel to the coil that's in the rotor. So now we have two LC circuits, and we're going to be spinning this thing up, and we're going to see what kind of effects we get. So that's the project.
We have 3,100 turns of 20 gauge in this winding and this winding. And the output windings are 350 turns of 10 gauge. The new design, we have a new design, well, before I go into that, the way the core is built, we have two layers of mica tape on the bare steel, and then there's a third layer of mylar tape that has a very good cut-through resistance over the mica tape, and that's on the bare steel core. And then there are plates made of 30 thousandths thick mica plate covering each of the pole pieces on both sides where the wire is in contact with the pole piece. There's mica plates on each of the four faces of the pole pieces. And then the outer wrap is just, this is just fiberglass tape to protect the outside of the wire. We have this was only the third one that was built this way. And at this point, we changed the insulation system. The next cores that are built will have bobbins, a two-piece clamshell plastic bobbin that will cover the steel. And they're made to fit snugly right into the corners between the pole pieces and the main core. And we'll still have the mica plates, but they'll be sitting on top of the bobbin in the corners. And then the wire will be wrapped on the bobbins And then they're going to do a vacuum epoxy impregnation where well, they're going to add a boot to cover after the wire's put on the bobbin, there'll be a boot put on, and the boot will be filled with epoxy. And then they do a vacuum impregnation where they'll pull the air out and cause the epoxy to go right into the windings and fill for additional insulation. I'm told that that will double the insulation capacity. What we have to do here is to try to hold off up to 25,000 volts. So the new system, I'm sure, will be better. This one, I don't know how far we'll be able to go before we could possibly get some arcing. One of the things we're going to do is when the high voltage windings are operating, we're gonna put a spark gap across the primary circuit, so that if we do get an arc, it'll be external to the core, and that way we can protect the windings from shorting out. We had a spark plug initially and couldn't get the gap wide enough, so I think probably we'll do a linear, we'll just set up a couple of pieces of wire across the capacitors so that if it's going to arc, it'll be outside, and we'll adjust the gap for whatever we decide will be the maximum voltage. What I'm doing now is just the mica plates that were on here were sticking out a little bit. These 8 surfaces have to be flush, so the end plates will fit tightly up against the core. So I've just been trimming this to make sure that the mica is not sticking out above the surface of the spacers here. And then we'll use the core itself to lay out the hole pattern, and we'll drill the end plates, drill holes in the end plates to mount the core onto the end plates. So just trim this off of here. You want to cut there for a moment.